doesn't like to look at in this short walk from her neighborhood. And she enters the huge, studded, brown, stained main door of the cathedral that looks like the door to a castle, and sits down and settles herself in a pew whose seat is padded by a cushion, and forgets her life, forgets her son, forgets that man, forgets the island where she was born and had left 30 years ago as an indentured servant, a domestic as she was known to the governments of her island and of Canada. For the loneliness, as she would complain to her friend Josephine, and to her son BJ, not that she was having a discussion with him, for she had not become so Canadian that she would sit down and reason with him, for he was a child, and she told him what to do, simple as that, the way it was done where she came from. And she would discuss it with that man, the man she was living with in common law, the man she had sent for and had paid for his ticket and the suit he wore on that cold November night, the man she wanted out of her life, even though he was in America, placing him here in this basement apartment and making him sit on one of the two red-painted chairs, talking aloud to him, even though he was there only in her imagination. And these imaginary conversations didn't last long, and then she would remember when they were happy, when they were behaving like man and wife, man and woman, when they spent time in bed, lying like two sardines moistened by the oil and the garlic in a tin of millionaires manufactured in Norway, lying in silence, waiting to be sure that their son in his adjoining room was at last asleep. But many times she was sure that BJ pretended he wasn't asleep. And now she hears the blang, 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 blang of the cathedral bells, and she tries to decide what time it is. But as she is still lying on her stomach, she cannot tell if the 3 red digits on her alarm clock, 7:36, refer to nighttime or daytime. She is coming out of her sleep, and she is coming out of her dream, listening to the deep, sweet sound of the bells, and she is aware now that today's Thursday, and she thinks she shall not rise from this bed. She has decided she will not go to work today. She pulls the white sheet round her body, tightens the white imitation blanket, then the ribbed white comforter round her body. And as she does this, she realizes that she's transformed herself into a mummy. Wrapped in these 3 extra skins of her bed linen, she feels sad. The dream is haunting her. She is unable still to put a name to the tune the bells are playing. The ringing of the bells now connects her back to her dream, cut off before its climax, and she drifts off to the sound of the metal tongue striking the iron skirt of the bell that goes through her body, almost like the man's hand in the dream, raising her skirt high off her knee, until his fingers reach the soft warmth of her thighs, which makes her jump in surprise and in excitement. And his tongue paints her lips, and she finds the words, awakening from her half-sleep, that what she feels is the same as what she is hearing, the banging of the tongue of the bell against its skirt, moving right and deep into her body, like the sensation of the bells, like the same short sweetness of his impatient kisses, as she lingers on her stomach, as if she's still wandering in her dream. And her dream is a journey, and she is lost, and she is counting the strokes of the bell for direction. Blang, 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 ticking off his kisses, counting them off on her fingers as she used to do in her class of mental arithmetic, years ago back in the island, at St. Bartholomew's Elementary School for Girls. And now, counting each smash of iron, listening to the sound that is still going through her body, like a rush that returns and returns, 13 heavy times in deep disappointment. Deep strokes of the iron tongue inside the welcoming skirt of the bell. And she knows now, at this moment, it's time to get out of bed, to let go of her dreaming, and escape the power of the bells of St. James Cathedral. The purpose of the bells is clear. They're summoning her to communion.